super chill, nothing crazy.
Yeah.
Also, if you're a critical EDH viewer, you know that when you're here, you're family.
I'm picking a new slogan every time.
Why settle?
Soon it's just going to be critical EDH. I'm out of ideas, and so is the channel. But I'm here with Logan and Dom, who you guys might recognize from some of our previous videos. But also, we're here with the new guy. Why don't you introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm Zach. I'm a San Diego local. So I just came by. I've been watching the Critical EDH YouTube channel for a little while now. I saw your win. I watched the Glarb interview. And then, yeah, you guys have been pumping out content like crazy.
Yeah.
It seems like
it's
a lot of videos.
It's a unsustainable release schedule, but we do have to get the channel off the ground. So I don't think we'll continue to do that forever, but for the moment, like, we're recording, 4 or 5 videos a day. So if we can create a little backlog, we're okay.
Yeah, just keep putting them out.
Yeah,
that's sweet. Heck
well,
yeah.
and especially I think it's easy in the sense that, like, there is so many different aspects of CEDH, and so getting to talk to people from different, like, areas of the country, like, you just get to see the game in, like, such a different way. Because
we're all cut from the same cloth, but it's all different, and everything's different. So
I hear you. Totally agree.
Yeah. Because so, Dom, did you start playing CEDH in Denver? I know you've kind of been around the States a bit.
Yeah, so I started playing CEDH like around the time I started playing Magic, so like maybe like probably a long time ago.
Whoa.
Like back when like
I didn't even know
the original like TNT, you know, like Zur,
Whoa.
Heck yeah.
Teferi, used to play those decks. My deck was the OG Niv Mizzet, not the one that does like, you know, you sneeze, you draw a card. No, just like exactly. The one that had like the original effect of like the new Niv Mizzet, but like it's so different, right? It's so different back then than it was now. You know, it's so much faster.
I think both Eric and I are pretty relatively like we're 2 years maybe.
Yeah, I think I'm just barely cusping a year and a half.
Yeah.
And I feel like I'm barely getting my feet underneath me.
For sure.
I mean, what about you, Zach? How long have you been playing for?
I played Magic in 3rd grade, and
What?
I played for about 3 months, summer camp. And I put my cards away. I didn't pick them up until college. So that was about 3 years ago.
Did you find a lot of good cards in your old
Not
stash?
as many as I wish. No. I was
That's a shame.
Yeah, I know. I was digging. I was like, I got nothing here. But so I played casual EDH for about a year, end of college, and then I got into CEDH maybe a year and a half or 2 years ago. So it's been a really slow grind. The first time I played CEDH was at I think it was Salt Lake City. There was like a Magic Con, and I brought Crick.
Oh, shit.
Whoa.
Yeah,
There was no CEDH games, so I was like going around being like, "Do you want to play CEDH?" So I finally found a group of 4 at the end of the second day, and I played like 2 games. No idea what I was.
Whoa.
But yeah, so I played a little bit then, and then I kind of got into the online tournament scene a little bit. I probably played 2 or 3, online tournaments.
Heck yeah.
Took a big break, about 6 to 8 months. Didn't play any Magic at all. And then kind of came back to it and played again. I was in Oregon. There wasn't a lot of tournaments. I've been in San Diego.
We're in Oregon, right?
Yeah.
Oh, sweet.
It's interesting because like there's a weird like pocket of like Magic players in Oregon.
Yeah, Portland's awesome.
Yeah, Portland
has an amazing scene.
Yeah, they got like at the Mox Boarding House, like, which is anybody knows that's like where Card Kingdom.
Yeah.
That's where they operated there in Seattle, right? And that store is really cool. I think the professor from like Tellurian Academy, he used to play at a store like a local
Tellurian Community College.
Yeah. You know, the professor, the guy.
Is he based in Portland?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay,
I
cool.
played at
that's
a
crazy.
shop a couple times over there. It's like
Explains a
super
lot.
chill. Yeah, so yeah, it's Oregon, like it's got pockets, but it's not super big. I mean, it might have gotten bigger. It's been a while
were
since
you
over there.
in Oregon?
I lived in Portland.
Okay,
like
so you were right in the heart of it.
Yeah, not that far from the airport. So
Nice.
yeah, it's pretty cool.
Sweet. Yeah, I was in Bend, if you guys know where that
Oh,
is.
yeah.
You do, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And there was one store that opened like halfway through the time I was living there, and they started throwing like Commander tournaments. There was not a lot of CDH players.
That's when everything goes downhill. You throw like regular EDH players into tournaments, and then somebody brings an actual CEDH deck, and then people get real mad.
Yeah, literally. Yeah. And they had just kind of been like, oh, we're good with proxies, and all the casual players for some reason don't like proxies. I don't know why. CEDH, everyone's happy with it.
That is super interesting. I think a lot of people have had the experience, both like vibe wise, that CEDH is often, I find, a lot like more chilled than casual, but also I experienced way more kind of like proxy hate. I think it could be because I feel like once proxies get introduced into like casual pods, that's when you kind of like start an arms race, and so it kind of
that definitely happened to us. I think we're kind of in the wild west of the format. Like anything goes for the most part. We don't have any artificial rules against us. No. We're at the top of the bracket, so we don't have to worry about any of that. We have just the regular bans, but again, we don't worry about proxies and stuff like that for the most part. I think there's maybe like 1 or 2 CEDH players that are like, I'm not proxying anything. It's like, good for you, man. Like, go for it.
The people I've met have been like very nice about it, where they're like, I don't play with proxies. I don't care if you do.
Yeah,
that's usually the mentality.
For the most part, which is really good, because I think I am experiencing, or at least I'm in the midst of experiencing the growth of the CEDH scene in Denver, and I think so much of that happens on the back that it's so accessible. Like getting a CEDH deck proxied is cheaper than buying most pre-cons. Like that's insane, and you get to do so much more stuff.
It's about the cost of a triple dipper at Chili's. With, a couple Cokes.
Triple dip me in one of those, baby. Those are so good.
Not sponsored, by the way.
Not sponsored.
Yeah, it should be.
God, I wish.
If you're watching Chili's.
So you started with Kirk. Kind of walk me through the rest of like your CEDH resume, as it were.
So like I said, I kind of dipped in and out a little bit. Online scene, I got, I think, like notable results. I had a top 4 at Chaos, which was really cool.
Still on Kirk?
No, God, no.
Chaos,
that would be sick.
Chaos is like the online scene, or at least one of the.
Yeah, it was kind of like before in-person tournaments took off.
And
everyone was playing online, and it was like, super cool to top 16 or top 4 online. That was it. And there was really no in-person tournaments that I could go to, at least. So I played Blue Farm, and then I kind of just played a bunch of different decks, had some terrible results, and then I had like a top 16, but then I kind of stopped playing for a bit. And it wasn't until I came back to San Diego and started playing here more seriously that I had a little more serious results and really fell in love with the community here and like what they're doing. But I really admire your guys' scene in Colorado. Like, it just feels, even watching some of your videos, it seems like there's a really consolidated player base of good players who are interested in growing what CEDH. I don't know if it's Denver specific.
It pretty much is Denver. I think there's a smaller pocket in Colorado Springs and an even smaller one up in Fort Collins. But and then obviously some weird people out west. I'm just kidding.
Yeah,
but
obviously not people from Portland.
We're pretty focused on developing the scene and developing the players. I think that it helps us all be better as players when I'm fighting against players that are good or playing with players that are good. And personal growth is one thing, but if you can grow your scene and start representing your scene locally at other places, I think that's even better.
I was curious, when Portland, did you get to be a part of the like PNW series that they have going on, where it's like a regional championship and the qualifiers?
No.
Oh, okay.
I wasn't. Around that time, I was kind of like flirting again with Magic. I had taken a big break, and then I was kind of just getting back into it, like dipping my toes. And it wasn't until I moved back to Colorado where I met Logan, and then we started like jamming a bunch of Commander, and then we started like bringing a lot of people in. And it's funny that you kind of talk about like the CEDH scene growing, is because like every time we have a big tournament, like Logan and Eric, they're like they're meeting everybody from like all over Colorado, and so it's kind of like these like branches that are going out and like meeting people, which is like really cool. So I think that's something like that's really awesome, is because if you have like a community that's dedicated to growing, like growth can be exponential.
That's sweet.
And so now we're kind of like reaching out to the groups out here, and so I want to hear more about your scene out here. Like, what's the meta like?
Yeah, I'd love to talk about it. Sure. So basically, San Diego, I've been here, has been for some reason everyone thinks we're turbo. That's like the idea is like, oh, if you go to SoCal, you're gonna play Roxy and no one's gonna be responsible, and that is like totally not the experience I've had at all. I think that in Vegas and NorCal, they probably have much more Roxy players. That's where like Ori is and Zane and like all the Ryan's up there, the guy who won the last festival. They're all up there, and we do have some turbo players, but for the most part, we're pretty mid-range, I would say, as a kind of conglomerate. But the scene here is kind of growing. We were starting to do bi-monthly gold events, so that's really what we're pushing for right now. Is every other month we're throwing a 64-person tournament.
Whoa,
which is awesome, and they've been
what store is hosting that?
TC's Rockets.
Okay,
yeah, so that's my local game store. I love playing, and we have a Saturday, and usually those not quite to silvers. They're pretty much like 16 to sometimes people, but generally not 32 plus. Which is what we're shooting for.
What store did we visit today? We didn't visit TC's.
It was
Brute Force? Maybe?
Yeah, we went to Brute Force.
Yeah.
There was a ton of people playing there. I didn't see if they were playing cEDH, but I think all the were there?
Yeah.
Fuck.
I didn't even know that. Yeah, so like I've been to Brute Force to buy cards. I've never played games there. So.
So we were talking to people from Arizona, and they were saying that like they kind of feel like mid-range and stacks kind of dominates the meta there. I feel like Denver's super mid-rangey as well. So we've been trying to get on top of it by playing Consecrated Sphinx and stuff like that.
It's awful.
I think everyone's meta feels awful right now. It's just no one wants Risk Study anymore, but everyone's. It's like the problem. Can't do anything. Well, to try and push for different ways, either to maximize what Kinnon's been doing or to different direction. Like I saw a Zyrus Writhing Storm deck.
Yeah, we had a local that plays that too.
Yeah, and it's like that's a cool way to attack drawing cards. So I feel you. We're in the same boat where it feels like this, mid-range flash speed dominates everything, and just kind of gets there.
It's interesting to hear that like we're geographically separate enough, but still suffering the same problems and same challenges.
I think it's the best thing to do. So
Yeah,
if the best players are spread out across the country doing that thing.
Especially we rub elbows at tournaments like this, and then you see what the top players are doing. You're like, well, if that's what they're doing, then I kind of have to follow suit. Yeah.
I hate to jump out, but speaking of connecting the dots, I think I saw a play over there I want to chat with real quick. But if you guys want to move down over here on the left, and Dom, you can upgrade to your own mic.
Oh my god. I'm part of the podcast. We did it.
I guess I'm shifting. Oh no, I'm in the middle. I'm the guest. Okay.
Yep. Oh yeah, I got you, Doug. All right.
Well, so like, what kind of decks are you seeing? A lot of. I think we were talking with Nick and he's from Tucson area.
Yeah.
But we were talking that like we see a lot of Kinnan in Denver. Are you seeing sort of the same thing? Are you seeing like Kinnan, Blue Farm, TNT, that sort of thing, or are you seeing other decks?
Yeah, good question. I am a Kinnan player. Sadly, we're coping hard, but it's worked really well. I was lucky enough to win our last gold event on Kinnan, and just like it felt like an amazing deck. Didn't drop a game. Had no complaints with the deck. It really feels like if you lose, it's on you. It's not on the deck itself. Definitely a political deck. Can't really get away with saying, "Oh, I'm not the problem anymore." Like people know how good you are as a Kinnan deck. But
they also know the threat that you pose to the table because you can make the most mana of any deck that exists. And
exactly. And
if you copy a Smothering Tithe or something like that, that's it.
Yeah. Or I really think the key to Kinnan is card draw, and that's why we're seeing the Freedom Waffles and the Varixes do so much better than the traditional Kinnan builds. Because they're really focused on that, mirror made copy enchantment, clever impersonator tech.
Astral Dragon?
I have yet to try Astral Dragon. I was going to pick up a copy. I can't.
It's totally gas.
It's so nasty. One of the Denver Kinnan players was playing today in a pod, and he turn 1 Risk Studied, turn 2 Mirror Maid. It got countered, and then he just hard casted an Astral Dragon, and then the table was like, yeah, okay, we've seen enough. We're out.
Yeah, insane. Yeah, I would like to try it. I don't think I'll slot it. I can't find it, so I'm not going to slot it in for tomorrow. But I wouldn't really consider myself to be a brewer. I think I play more than I brew. And so I love all these different builds that people are trying out. And that's been really cool to see. But for the meta in San Diego, It is very much, like I said, mid-range. Like, we have people that are deck specialists that stick to specific decks. We're really good Derevi player. We have a solid Magda player. We have TNT is pretty common. What else? We have a couple Mardu players who are really strong, and they're not turbo, but it is, you can go fast on.
Yeah, what commanders are they playing with Mardu? Is it
Dahada or?
Yeah, Dahada and Kalia.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
We have a Kalia player. We have I think a Dahada player. I'm not sure, but the other one is Dargo Timna.
Oh wow!
Like,
yeah, it's crazy.
That deck is crazy. That deck is crazy.
I don't like playing against that deck because I just stare at him and I go, is this a combo piece? I'm not really sure.
Are we losing?
Yeah, are we losing now or are we losing later?
Yeah.
I think it seems like we're sharing a lot of the similar aspects in our local metas, and you have those sort of one-off decks and specialists, and obviously the big heavy hitters with the meta decks. But one thing I've really been noticing is that TNT saw a huge resurgence after the bans because everyone thought, well, Dockside's gone, I don't need to play red anymore. I can pick up green as that sort of fourth color. But now I'm seeing the deck start to like tank. Like I'm not seeing the deck convert well, at least in our local area. If you look at the Fishbowl stats, I think there were 19 entries and only like
Snowy Summit.
Or sorry,
Yeah.
Snowy Summit. I keep doing it. Snowy Summit. If you look at the Snowy Summit stats, like both Kinnan and TNT did not convert particularly well. Are you seeing the same sort of thing in your local?
Yeah. I see a lot. I mean, I still see a crazy amount of TNT players.
Yeah. Yeah, the number's still high, but I don't think the conversion is happening. But
Yeah. I would. Well, I'm happy to answer. I would ask though, like, were the players that were converting on TNT strong players, and if they were strong players converting on TNT, are they still doing it?
It's hard to say. I know that we have some very prolific TNT players in like Raul and Pigeon or Joseph Fago, and they're fantastic
And they're still
players
with the deck, right?
Oh, absolutely. And I don't think it's hard for them to convert, but it does seem like it's a deck where it attracts like a lot of new players, but it maybe is not as easy as it kind of lends itself to, like, you know, like as it shows.
Yeah, I hear that.
But yeah, I don't know. Just kind of sense I'm getting that, like, even though it's popular, like the conversion rate seems to be like sliding.
Well, yeah, I, to be honest, conversion rate wise, I couldn't tell you from my guess.
What's your gut feeling?
I think that I think the good players just aren't playing it anymore. I think that, you know, if you look at the top 20 of the leaderboard, not to say those are the only good players, but like that's a good way to judge, like, oh, these people have performed in tournaments continuously and they're going to keep performing. A lot of those have not continued to play it. There are people that have stuck with it and that are, you know, really enjoying it, but I think the deck is just I honestly, I don't know if I could say it's better than Timnacrom or worse than Timnacrom. I don't know. I don't know if there's good enough players on it to tell me, oh, their conversion rates went down as players, or, oh, there's just not as many people who are good playing the deck stuff.
I have a bit of a theory on this, and like I could be completely wrong. I don't, you know, I'm not like the expert on it, but the thing is, I think with Timnacrom or Timna Thrasios, you know, you kind of rely on having a lot of creatures and then also connecting with those creatures, right? And then now that we're having a lot of these board states where everyone's just playing Ristic Studies and everybody has just a bunch of like creatures out, you know, it's really hard to connect. You know, like even with TNK, you have Crom at the very least who's drawing cards passively
on his own,
and he has
he can go over top.
He can go over top, right?
Yeah.
But you have just like these small weenie creatures, and then as soon as like Kinnan slams like a big fat creature, right? Like you're like, okay, well, I'm just gonna sit here, and it has a hard time breaking parity once like it kind of goes into late game, right? Because Kinnan can just kind of accumulate value like over time and go crazy.
What's up, Jack?
What up?
Is this a local?
Yeah, this is a local player.
Hey, come over.
Yeah, come on.
Are you going somewhere?
Oh, we're just chatting. We're taking a break. We are at least, but
do you
we're just chatting with Zach.
Do you have someone else you wanted to bring in to chat?
Eventually, yeah. We can finish up if you want.
Okay, yeah. If you feel like talking about San Diego or the scene,
we're just talking about the San Diego scene, what it's like, and but it's all good.
Or if you want to go play games, I'm gonna go play games after this. So
we're just recording a quick video, but we can wrap up. I think the last thing I would say about the sort of meta and the decks we're seeing right now, I think the death of TNK was greatly over-exaggerated.
Oh yeah, big time.
Yeah,
I
still a
think-
good deck turned
That
out.
is gas.
It's definitely fighting for the 1 and 2 spot with Kinnan,
Uh-huh.
and then I think 3 is kind of like anyone's guess as to what that deck might be.
Yeah,
Because I don't really think there is a third best deck at the moment. I don't know, but how you feel, but
yeah. My opinion with Tim Necrom is it has no bad matchups.
yeah,
I mean, it's not true, but it's like if you look at the field, Tim Necrom doesn't fold to a Curse Totem.
No.
You know, Kinnan doesn't necessarily totem, but
doesn't like it very
if
much.
half of my ramp pieces are dorks, I get much more affected than Tim, who has the same.
Oh yeah.
So I think that's also a reason why TNT as strong as it was is because if you have hate pieces like Bowmasters, Tim Necrom doesn't care.
Oh yeah.
You can sit behind a Ristic Study and Tim Necrom never play your command, never play creatures.
Yeah.
TNT, if I don't know the breakdown, but like if your ramp pieces are going to be much more dork heavy and the Bowmasters comes down, you automatically lose a bunch of value to where Tim Necrom doesn't care. So, but yeah, I don't know where the meta is right now. All I know is it's a Ristic Study world.
And it's the world we live in,
and I hate it. But
so equal amounts of hate coming from Denver and San Diego on Ristic Study. I think that I was probably not a big proponent of the ban at least a while ago, especially before the Dockside ban. I think now if we see a Ristic ban, I think things would probably change, but unfortunately that would probably reveal the next big boogeyman of the format, and we don't really know what that is, I don't think. So I guess we'll see what happens, but thanks for joining us.
For sure.
And hopefully we'll chat with you maybe again. Maybe we'll catch up with you like tomorrow and see how we're doing.
Yeah, I'd love to.
Yeah, I kind of want to talk about your Kinnan deck specifically because like if you're playing, if you're like winning like gold tiered events, but I don't want you to like reveal it yet, right?
Oh, I don't care. I'm not like I said, I'm not a brewer. Like I pretty much have just taken Varric's list and copied it.
Gotcha.
And I'm looking at what his updates are and I'm like trying them out. I think I'm on a little bit of a later or an earlier version of his list. He's cut like Glenalendra, Trophy Mage, trying the Shifting Woodlands. I probably will cut it. And he's on a couple more bird frog enablers for Valley Flood Caller.
That's cool.
Lines, which I think is really interesting. But yeah, I'm not a brewer. Like I'm like, give me a list that I think will perform well and
I think the best thing about playing CEDH is you don't have to be. We're all here to compete, and whether you want to brew or you want to just play, I think that you definitely have a spot either way. So again, thanks very much.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thank you.
Nice meeting you.
Great meeting you
We'll
guys.
definitely catch up later.
Awesome.
Cool. Thanks.